Let me just tell you, that's John Riddle, and he calls that before Columbus.
I,
And it's really funny about John. John was such an interesting person. He passed away in 2002, and he was the curator at California African American Museum at the time. And he and I were planning a solo exhibit of his. He was actually working on pieces at the time of his death that would have been in the show. And sadly, he passed away before we could actually complete the works and before we had a chance to put on the show. But I remember him saying all the time that the Middle Passage was obviously horrible for all the reasons we have talked about and read about. But the other thing was, he said, imagine all of the talent that was at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, people that could have been scientists or artists or philosophers or you name it. And so the tragedy of losing so many gifted folks. I mean, the loss of life is always bad, but on top of that, the loss of their potential and their talents and so forth. So one of the things he also focused on was, and that's what this piece is kind of about, is that Africans explored the continent before Columbus.
mm-hmm.
And he points to the colossal heads in South America and other things that sort of provide evidence of the African explorations, and refuting the idea that black people have no history. Sort of what you were talking about before, with the person trying to deny that
Cancel
person's
culture.
cancel culture thing. So cancel culture is nothing new to African Americans or African Brazilians or whatever. It's been basically trying to cancel that whole thing. But John, that's John's one of his answers to that whole idea. So yeah, and then on the other side, incidentally, that's Michael Massenburg. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but that piece he
That's
calls,
an assemblage, isn't it?
yeah, it is, and it's he calls it Middle Passage, and so it deals with the horrific thing of slavery. You can't see it from this particular angle, but on the side of
I
it,
get the vibe.
yeah, on the side of it, there's that whole, how slaves were arranged in the hold of those ships, spoon style and so forth, where it's pretty just crammed in there in inhumane conditions and so forth.